In life, we have hard times, we hit turbulence, we fail, we fall on our ass, we have divorces, we have all kind of bullshit that happens. And we sit there and think about that one issue, and it's all we think about. We forget to focus on everything in life, our habits, our goals, our destination. We end up failing.
I had two options: to either be that 300-pound guy who sprayed for cockroaches and made $1,000 a month, and at 24 years old, knowing when I'm 50 fucking years old, I can reflect on this and think about what guy I never became, or I can totally just sack it up and fail and fail and fail until I succeed.
In the first several months was nothing but failure. So how am I gonna get up the next morning when I failed the day before?
I didn't teach myself victory first. I taught myself failure. I taught myself how to fail. When you're 300 pounds and you can't read and write and you're up, you know how many times you're gonna fail on that process? So if you don't know how to fail, there is no victory. I never talked about winning because I knew the path to winning was gonna be years of failing first.
So I went through and I taught myself how to fail.
Properly. No one teaches you how to fail. But if you're going out for insurmountable odds that make absolutely no sense, a black kid that can't swim, 300 pounds, gonna be a Navy SEAL. Okay. You better teach yourself how to fail first. Because if you sit in failure for too long, you will never come out of it. So the first part of my success was learning how to fail properly. And then eventually, I started getting a few victories. But that's what people don't get. When you have buried yourself in such a deep hole, you better first talk about the failures you're gonna have first, and that's when that other voice comes up. It tells you we gotta do something, but it also tells you, boy, I'm not gonna lie to you, Goggins, you're in for a climb, bro. You're gonna get your ass handed to you, made fun of, the outside noise, the inside noise. Both voices are gonna be telling you to go yourself. You are in for hell, bro. I am. So I better learn to fail.
The journey to success comes with a lot of failure. So why the don't you teach yourself, like I taught myself, is how to fail?
There's a saying out there in the military. They say first time, every time. Well, I wasn't that guy. I failed everything I did the first time. I was known for coming back even harder after I failed. Success isn't a straight line. It's a maze. And when you think you figure that maze out, you hit a wall. And you gotta turn the around and start again.
When I fail, I can't spend much time in that fail zone. I have to be able to get up and get after the next day just as fast. Because my goals were to be a Navy SEAL. I don't have time to stay here and feel bad for myself for weeks and months and years, because I'll lose that time. So the big thing is know that if you have big goals and big dreams, along the way, failure is going to happen. So how fast do you get up from that? And you got to teach yourself that. At the end of the day, I ask myself one question: can I take one more step? And usually the answer is yes. So if you can answer that question and not take another step, that is real failure. That is real quitting. Failure is the ultimate thing, man. I failed so many times before, and that's why I don't look at failure anymore as failure. I look at it as my first, second, and third attempt.
I don't see failure. I see grit, determination, drive, sacrifice. Failure means you're trying. A whole bunch of people out here never fail because they never try. He said, how do you handle failure, Goggins? I said, I don't look at it as failure. I look at it as my first, second, third attempt. One thing in life that's for sure: the valiant mother always wins. I get an email the other day. This young man wants to be a ranger, but he's afraid to go to ranger school. Not because how hard the training is, but because he's afraid if he fails, what people are going to say by judging him. One thing in life, this applies to everything in life. Anytime you move from being normal to trying to be exceptional, people aren't gonna like that shit. Those normal people, it makes them feel like shit, so they're gonna judge you. And nowadays, it's very easy to be a coward. Why? We got Instagram and shit. Most folks don't tell you to your face. They go online, they post about like cowards. Don't let cowards get in your head. And last thing, make sure you do you.
Most people who are failing are trying their ass off. Most people who are failing are being criticized by people who haven't attempted what you're even trying to fail at. So what I'm failing at, so after I did 2,500 pull-ups my first time going for the record. You know how many people were criticizing me? Look at your audience who's criticizing you, first of all. They're not even in your world. You don't even talk to me. Block them out. That's the first thing. The second thing is through failure, you get all the answers. All of them, all there. So I was able to go back through and say, okay, this happened, this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong. So I don't even look at failure like, I don't even call it failure. I don't, because I don't look at it like, oh my God, I failed. No, I look at, okay, like trying to invent the light bulb. I'm afraid to know what's failure. I'm trying to invent a light bulb. I'm trying to break 4,020 pull-ups. That's failure? Anything you do along that way is amazing. That's how you gotta look at failure. I don't look at failure as failure. I look at failure as attempts at what I'm trying to accomplish. So let's say I failed the first time. That's just my first attempt. And I have a second attempt and a third attempt. I don't look at it as failure. Because when you start putting a title on different things, names, you start to brand certain things, failure is a big word. But if you're failing at something that's extremely difficult, to me, it's not really failure. It's your first attempt. And through that first attempt, you gain so much knowledge for the second and possibly third attempts, and then you'll finally succeed. So it's how you look at failure. Mentally, if you look at it the right way, everything I went through in my life, every bad thing I went through in my life, the 2 heart surgeries, all the name calling, everything I went through. If you learn how to flip that mother on top of its head and say, hang on, there's so much power in this thing. And if you look at life as it is a trial ground, a testing ground for where you need to belong, where you need to go, suffering is a fact of life. And if you look at suffering the right way, it's a great tool to callous your mind. If you look at it as suffering, woe is me, this is bullshit, God kicking rocks. If you look at it like, okay, motherfucker, you're testing me now. I get it. Whenever I'm being like depressed, I go through depressed moments, I go, oh, hang on. I'm getting tested. So you have to be aware of all the signals and signs that are being given to you from the world. One of them is if you feel bad, you're being tested. How are you going to perform under that? And that's suffering is a part of life.
Most of us live our entire lives avoiding failure. It's funny. I walk around, people come to me, they say, man, you're that Navy SEAL, you went through Ranger School, you were, Air Force TAC P, you did the pull-up record, you run all these ultra races, all this shit, man. The funny thing about it that I think about is this. They know that part of me. This is the part I know about myself. I failed the ASVAB test to get in the military 3 times. In the Air Force, failed at pararescue. In the SEALs, it took me 3 times to get through Navy SEAL training. The pull-up record took me 3 times. This is what I know about me. So what I'm saying is this. You can't live your life being afraid to fail. All those failures made me the success in the day. My life, I blamed everybody. And a lot of people had a lot to do with my failures, but it's now mine to own. And every day I went through and I tried to kind of like solve these problems. The biggest problem it was trying to fit in. I was trying to fit in. I was blaming other people. I wasn't taking accountability for my own actions. I was doing all these things wrong. And I felt like, man, I have to now really start to overcome my fears, because I felt so small. Every day I had this haunting voice in my head saying, you're nothing, you're nothing. And I had to start conquering myself. I became very obsessed with finding out more, because I'm like, I came from this horrible human being in my mind to this person who's now amongst
uncommon men. And I wanted to then become the most uncommon of uncommon men because of where I came from. And I lost 106 pounds in less than 3 months. Well, the funny thing about it, when I was in pararescue training, when I was younger, I didn't know how to process failure. Like whenever something would get tough for me, something I couldn't do, something I wasn't great at, the best thing to do is when you're not good at something is just quit. So that's what I did very well. I would find an excuse, I'd find a lie, I'd tell somebody a lie and I quit. I roll out and I tell them, oh, it was sickle cell, whatever. And I would kind of like skirt the truth. What I started figuring out going through buds was that the harder something is, the more it was challenging my mind. So I had to find different ways to stay in the fight. And in staying in the fight, it got me tougher and tougher and tougher.
This is all about the quitting mind. So what's the quitting mind? So let's say it's day one of a job interview. We all know what that shit feels like. You have your clothes laid out. You got your food ready to go in the morning. You've been preparing for weeks and weeks and weeks. You show up and you bring your best self. You get the job. Merry Christmas. All right. After a couple of months, you start showing up to work a little later. You don't look as good. Your clothes aren't laid out. Your breakfast isn't ready. Your mind's getting softer. We do that shit with everything in life. When New Year's coming up, guess what? Don't have a quitting mind. Repetition every day.
Most of us fail in life because we're afraid of what everyone around you is thinking. That's 100% truth. So we live by the narrative of other people. When I first called a recruiter to be a Navy SEAL and I was 297 pounds, the first recruiter looked at me and said, "You're not going to be able to make this, man." So what he was doing was he was projecting his energy on me. He knew he couldn't be a Navy SEAL. So God helped this black guy, because I was only the 36th African American to make it through in over 70 years. How's this black fat guy gonna make it through? In my ass, he wasn't even willing to try. So he's projecting this. So a lot of us who are negative people, all we do is project how we feel on other people. So what happens is there's a lot of negative people walking around the planet Earth who are afraid to try. Because a lot of people are very negative in this world. So we are afraid to fail. Why? I told you, man. Shouldn't even tried it, dude. Just chill out, relax. Why are you so crazy? Why are you so obsessed? So all that stuff drives the quitting mind, I call it. The mind wants to quit. The mind's tired. The mind's tired. The mind's deserving. The mind thinks it's very deserving. So yes, the biggest problem in this world is other people, not yourself. It's other people in your head. They are puppet mastering you pretty much on your life.
A lot of people ask me, Goggins, what the hell drives you? What keeps you going? Is it races? Is it this and that? None of that shit. I'm gonna give you a quick story. 19 years ago, I was 300 pounds trying to find an avenue into being a Navy SEAL. I called up 7 different recruiters trying to get in. One recruiter told me it was unattainable for me. 300 pounds, too big, out of shape, all this crap. What I did was I wrote his name down. I wasn't mad at him. I wrote his name down. People try hard to put their own dialogue in your head. He didn't believe he could be a Navy SEAL. So he's trying to put that crap in my head. Write those names down, those people, and the unattainable for them. Once you have paid it, go back and tell them how you did it.
You gotta keep fighting, brother. Life ain't just gonna give you everything you want. It's hard. If you read my book, Can't Hurt You, man, I've been through a lot of hard times in my life, man. You can't just give up, because giving up is the ultimate thing as far as you just quitting. Don't ever let somebody know that you're giving up, man. You give all you can, fight pain with pain, continue moving on, show people who you are. Be the example for others to follow, man.
Whenever something bad would happen on the mound, that's the first thing they would do. The head drops, shoulders roll forward, they look down. That sends a direct message to your brain that I failed. I am a failure. That starts the downward spiral to being a failure. On that mound, you can't ever recover. So I started teaching this. It's that person who, you throw a bad pitch, you get the ball back, your chin is not high, because that shows that you're way too proud. Your chin stays here. Your shoulders stay nice and level, your feet firmly on the ground, your hands planted like I'm ready to beat somebody's ass, and I'm ready for battle. It tells your mind, wow, maybe we didn't f up that bad. We're still in the fight. So that's the one thing I always do is like, even if I f up, keep your body positioned like you're still a warrior, like you're still fighting. If you get 100 bad calls in a row, hello, I'm David Goggins, how you doing today? Okay, wrong one. Don't start getting poopy pants and getting upset with yourself. No, it's a mentality, and your body language has a direct thing to your brain and how it functions. So my self-talk is like no one else's self-talk. So this is what I say to myself. It changes all the time. But let's say for shits and giggles, I'm training for a 100-mile race. And I get to mile 50, and I feel like shit. And like everybody else, my mind gets soft. Why? Because I'm human. I'm not some damn, hybrid creature that was formed from the heavens above. No, not. Human. I suffer, I don't like it, I'm uncomfortable, I don't like it. So my mind starts to get weak, and we start to forget about how badass we are. I call that the cookie jar, but it's not about the cookie jar right now. This is about self-talk. But the cookie jar kind of goes to self-talk too. Yeah. It's a piece of it. So basically what I do here is you have to make sure that your mind doesn't become spastic. When it's suffering, when it's in pain, all it wants to do is find the easy way out, which is usually quit. If you quit, the pain goes away immediately. You gotta give yourself enough energy and fuel in your mind to stay just a little bit longer so you can talk yourself into staying for the whole thing.
In all times when you want to quit, because we're all human, you make sure you remember one thing. All those times and hours and days you sacrifice to be the best.
And this is how it works. Most of us never start anything cold. If you're gonna go to college, you gotta study your ass off. If you wanna run a 100-mile race, a marathon, if you wanna go be Mr. Olympia, if you wanna go be a scientist, a doctor, what happens is, in that moment where we need self-talk, when we're failing and we're in our worst spot possible, we forget the back end, or my fault, the front end, all the build up to where we're at today. We forget how much work we put. We forget that we put years, maybe not into making these dials, but to getting where you're at today, to be in a position to make this money or whatever you want to make, whatever you want to do in your life. We forget that. We forget that journey on what it took for us to get in this moment to make the right decision. So that's my self-talk is this. Okay, I want to get the out of here, man. I'm done. Then I remember this. You ran 2,000 miles training to be in this moment right now. We forget that. We forget the 3 o'clock in the morning runs or getting up early for work or whatever you're doing. We forget all that. In that moment of suffering, I remind myself, I only have 50 more miles. I put in 6 months of training. So what I do, my self-talk is basically going back down memory lane of all those up days. I ran the rain, or I had to study real late at night, and I didn't want to do it, but I did it to get here. I wanted to get here. Now you're here, and now you want to quit? So you gotta remind yourself, but this thing about it, if you haven't put in any hard work to reflect on,
we have so many tools to put in our arsenal to strengthen our minds, to put those calluses on our minds for when we need them. So one of those great tools is positive self-talk. Positive self-talk works well, but you gotta put the work behind it. It's gotta be the truth. Positive self-talk has to be the truth. So let's say you're taking a test, hard test in college, but you haven't studied, but you have a positive mindset, and your positive self-talk going into it. Chances are, you're gonna fail that test. Positive self-talk doesn't work unless you put the work behind it. It's only bullshit. Put the work behind your positive self-talk.
And all I knew back then was hard work. The only way anything gets accomplished, that's all I heard back in those days. You gotta work hard. You gotta work hard. I'm not getting I can't get this paragraph. I can't remember what the in this paragraph to pass this test to get in the military. Read it again. Still not getting it. Read it again. But if you're not getting it, write it out. And that's how I started learning. Okay, well, I gotta write out everything I do and then write it out again and write it out again. And guess what happened? I got it. I can't swim. I'm negative buoyant. Go back again. I can't swim. Go back again. Go back again. Go back again. I got it. I realized if I keep going back and going back and going back until the shit just becomes, your mind will say, okay, we're gonna figure it out, because he is not going to stop. It's not like I'm gonna try one more time. No, it's just like alarm clock goes off, boop, we're going back. I can't read right, we're going back. I gave myself no way out, and my mind realized that. They said, okay, we're gonna adapt and overcome now.
One big thing is this: fear. Fear keeps a lot of motherfuckers from being successful. It keeps you making excuses for yourself. Fear lives one place and one place only, and that's in your mind. Martin Luther King had a dream. Don't let fear yours up. Growing up, I had a fear of the water. So I wanted to overcome that fear. So I got this book. It was like Swimming for Dummies. So basically, I get this book, and the first few pages, it says, it teaches you how to float. So I get access to a pool. I bring my book. I put it on the gunnel. I do what it says. And basically, this book is teaching you to get comfortable in the water. And how you get comfortable, they want to teach you how to float. So I do all the steps. I lean back. I lay back in the water, and I lawn dart at the bottom of the pool. I come up, this lifeguard comes over to me. He looks at me and says, I taught a lot of people how to swim. Basically, you're doing the right things, but you want to fill your lungs up with air. So I do all that. I lawn dart to the bottom of the pool once again. When I come up, this lifeguard is laughing his ass off at me. He laughs at me, so I start laughing. He says, hey man, you're I go, why am I fucked? He goes, because you're negative buoyant. So he teaches me about negative buoyancy, positive buoyancy, neutral buoyancy, all this crap. He goes, but you can learn. So he's teaching me in the shallow end. And the shallow end gave me a lot of confidence, because whenever I get tired, I just stand up. So as I got better, the whole idea was we had to move to the deep end. But I feared the deep end. And back then, there was no mental toughness classes on how to overcome fears and shit. It was just don't be a bitch type of class. So basically, he moves me to the deep end. His name was Robert. Moves me to the deep end. And he starts laughing at me. He found all this funny because I was scared to death. For over a period of time, I get over my fear. And I learned a lot of lessons from the deep end. So I took those lessons I learned from the deep end and I applied them to life. Me and Robert stayed in contact for over 30 years. But I never saw Robert. We never saw each other for 30 years. We talked over text and shit. So he tells me he's in the running now. He happens to be in my town. So he wants to go for a run. So I see Robert, and as he's texting me about coming to see me, all I can think about is the deep end. And how this mother unknowingly taught me these lessons. So now I want to return the favor. So we go out for a 15-mile run. And from the first step, I have Robert pegged. The fastest he can run, I have him there. We get to about 6-7 miles into the run, and I can hear Robert breathing. He looks at me and says, I am so tired, man. Can you slow down? I said, I'm not going to slow down because you taught me valuable lessons in the deep end of that pool. I'm now going to teach you valuable lessons on the deep end of life. So we're running, and he completes this 15-mile run. He struggles, and when we get done, I sit back and I start to talk to him about the valuable lessons of the deep end and what that taught me growing up. And for all you out there, you may not be the best at something. And that is what the deep end of the pool will teach you. You may not be the best at swimming, the best at running, the best at learning, the best at anything. But it's very important that you look all of these deep ends in the eyes and face them. And make sure that you learn a lesson along the way. Life isn't fair. We have to understand that. It shouldn't be fair. It's a trial ground. It's a testing ground. It's built to make us harder. It's built to make us as strong as we can to test us, to drive us. So, mentality is the only thing that gets us through life. I was an underdog. We are all underdogs in life. Even the baddest person in the world should think that way. So you should always have I've never arrived mentality. And the can't hurt me mentality is no matter where you come from, the sewer or wherever you think you're from. When I got out of the sewer, I got to the road and looked around and said, can't hurt me. Nothing should be able to hurt you. If you believe that, it starts to become true.
The mind is what you created. And I started opening different doors that I didn't think were even there, that I didn't think even existed. And the more doors I opened up, the more I started realizing that my potential is damn near endless. And it changed my whole mindset. So I went from David Goggins and I created Goggins.
I was so afraid of myself that I had to figure out, I became a master of my mind. People, when you're afraid of something, you have to master it. That's how you start to overcome it. So what I realized, when I get to that point where I want to quit, everybody, they get to the point where they want to quit. This is what happens. The mind tells you, let's go home. Let's take a warm shower. Let's get some food. This is not right. This is that. If you cannot answer the questions at that moment, because your mind's going to start giving you all these questions. And if you can't answer them, you're going to quit. What I realized when I was going through Buds, Ranger School, all this 100-mile race, 200-mile races, pull-up records, my mind would come creeping in. Like when I was doing 4,030 pull-ups at 2,000 pull-ups and my hands were ripped open, my mind said, look, brother, we've done all these other things. You've proven yourself. You're good. If I didn't have the answer to respond to my mind and say why I'm here, why I'm doing this, you will always lose that fight. You have to have the response to what your mind is going to tell you.
A lot of us dream big. You should dream big. Dreaming big is important. You know, some of us will be doctors, lawyers, dentists. Some of us want to be in special operations. So you have this big dream you can see so clearly, like it's right in front of you. You can go out and touch it. But the thing about it is somewhere, if you dream big enough, somewhere down that journey, that dream becomes a nightmare. And what happens in that nightmare, you start to have all these questions. Like, if you want to be a special ops, you may not be a great swimmer. You may just realize that I'm not a great swimmer, I'm not a great runner. You may start to fail tests. And all these questions start to flood your mind. Why am I here? I'm not good enough. Trust me, I know all about the questions. They will flood your mind. If you do not have the answers for them, you will quit. The answers lie in the repetitions. You must not forget the repetitions you put into trying to dominate the craft that you're in today. Always, always embrace the suck, adapt to the suck.
We all like to take this 4-lane highway, the easy highway. It has signs, it has restaurants. We all love that 4-lane highway. We always step over the shovel. And all I did was I picked up that shovel, and that shovel, I made my own path. And you may have big boulders and shit. They may be getting 200 miles up the road faster than you. But going through this path of life, this journey over here that you make yourself, that's incredibly difficult. When it comes out the other end of that some glorious shit that you can't even explain to people.
A lot of people like to put titles on other people who are doing extraordinary things. It makes them feel better about themselves. Gives them a get out of jail free card. I'm not crazy. I'm just not like you. In sports, there's a thing out there called load management. A lot of us like to load manage our lives. When you do that, you're gonna find yourself right at normal. Get off that.
They see me now. They see me now as the guy that with his shirt off who can do 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours, who can run 205 miles in 39 hours, who can do all this crazy shit. But what they don't understand is they don't understand the journey that it took me to get to this point. And what got me to this point was I was just the opposite of what I am today. I was that guy who ran away from absolutely everything that got in front of me. But not many people knew that. I had two people. Like the real me was like this very scared, insecure, stuttering, got beat up by his dad, all this kind of stuff. But it's real. It's who the I am. It's what I am. It's what created me.
Greatness is whatever the hell you dreamed of in your own mind. You gotta first see it. You gotta first create this vision in your mind. And then that's when I come into play. Once you create this vision in your mind, it's how am I gonna get there now?
And that's when I come into play. But first you gotta create your own vision. And then it's not external. It's the vision created is inside of you.
We're all being tested. And that road to success is a bumpy ass road. Has potholes, nails, detours and shit. Yeah. A lot of you are gonna die with a nicely preserved body. No plates, no bad knees, no bruises, no scars. You also have an empty resume. So when you get judged, when everything is said and done with, you won't get judged on your medals. If you get judged on your scars, those scars show your willingness to get to the other side. They show your failures. They show your willingness to start from scratch. They show what you're willing to do to go the distance, to see what you're capable of. So make sure in life, don't be afraid to get scars.